the intense but definitely worthwhile conversations. A podcast focused on bringing people together by drinking, listening, and conversing. So grab your favorite drink and let's see what's on today's menu. All right, people, welcome to Peeps Creek, the cafe. You know, here at the cafe, we always have a conversation centered around a drink. And today, I'm switching it up. I'm actually using my normal water cup for my alcohol today. I am drinking a drink that's called Witch's Heart. It is a vodka-based drink, so that means I'm also moving away from my bourbon. And as you can see, I have this big jug of water right here with my H2O in it, ready for today's show. And again, I'm Sean. All right, and today I am joined in the cafe by Denise. Say hello, Denise.
Hello, Sean. Hello, everyone.
Okay, that lighting is not great today, but we're gonna have to push through. What are you drinking on over there?
I'm actually drinking on the night jar. It's a wine. I had to
That
pour,
same stuff?
yeah, I had to pour some ice, unfortunately, because I forgot to put it to chill. So,
All right. So today we are moving on to a topic that we actually discussed briefly about at the end of episode 76. And we are going to move to episode 78, which is co-parenting. It be a struggle sometimes. All right. Okay.
sometimes, all the
All right.
time.
Oh my God. Okay, so you want to kind of set this conversation up a little bit, and then we'll talk about some of the advice that we're going to give on this topic.
I think for starters, for any new listeners that we have, because I think episodes that we've done with you and I, we may have mentioned that unfortunately for you and me, but fortunately, I guess for our kid, we were in a relationship many years ago, and we have an 18-year-old together. So this is why we are bringing this topic today of co-parenting. We mention it sometimes in some episodes, and we tend to bicker a lot in some episodes. So I guess today will be interesting.
Yeah, and just a correction. We were not in a relationship. We were fucking married. That's totally different. But go ahead.
Like I said, unfortunately for us,
But
fortunately
go
for our
ahead.
kid.
Go off, sis. The hell? Over here trying to diminish the beautifulness of our interactions when we interact.
Oh my God, to throw up the what?
All right. What we want to do is we found some individuals who were actually seeking some advice on co-parent. So we found some individuals who were seeking advice on co-parent in various different situations. Some situations we've been in, some not necessarily. But we are going to give our thought process, opinions on it, and that kind of will parlay into us talking about our own style of co-parenting. So the
I don't
first one, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think I'm drunk enough yet. So just pardon me. Let me just drink a little bit more.
Well, you should have. That's why I
Salud.
know this. Let you try to make it seem like like
Listen, I
you are
say
the
that.
only. I'm not done. You trying to make it
Guys, do you see
seem.
what I had to go through? Do you see what I had to
But
go through?
you always try to cut me off behind the scene, and then when I do on podcast, you try to get sympathy. That's BS. Okay, you're not the only one that has blah on this topic. That's why I switched to this large ass thing of alcohol for this topic versus my normal little cup. But anyway,
I only say that of everything that you sent me, you're talking about there's one that we can relate to. Which one? Which one, mother effer? Because none of those we could relate to.
I think we can because we just have a difference of opinion. All right, the first um, co-parenting advice is how do we feel about co-parenting and being friends? So this particular person says, "Look, hear me out. Um, essentially, how do you have no contact with your child's parent? We obviously have to communicate for the child if they want to follow on social media, quote unquote, to see pictures of the child. Is it a dumb idea to allow it? I have them blocked on everything, even LinkedIn. So I don't know how they're gonna see the kid. But anyway, I want to give in, but I don't want to see them with another person or post about them being out at the clubs because it still hurts. They crush my heart into a million pieces, and it feels like they keep using the kid to pry in an attempt at friendship or keeping me on the back burner while they go explore. Do you want to start or you want me to start?
Either way,
Okay.
it's up to you.
Go ahead. I'll let you start.
So I would start by saying I can completely understand the not wanting to allow them access to your account, because that may mean that you may get access to that person's account, and it hurts to be able to see that they moved on, especially if you still have feelings. So I can relate to that, but I don't see why you can't just create an account for the kid and then just whenever you need to upload a picture, just upload it to the baby's account. Just who you're going to allow on the account, who can see the pictures, make it private, etc. You don't have to always, you don't have to allow that person access to your account to see the baby. Back to you.
You are like you doing a news
I
broadcast
just
over there.
I just don't like that up close, and I hate when you leave it there.
Yeah, sorry. Went to go turn on the other lights for the signs. Okay, so um I think I heard everything that you said. I think I actually think we were kind of in the situation, but not dealing with social media per se. But let me give my advice to this particular situation. I think, um, no offense, I think it's dumb that you block this person simply because you're hurt. Because here's the bottom line for me. I don't think that you need to go through the whole rigmarole of creating a social media account just for the child. I think that's stupid. And B, I also think that, and I'm not saying your advice is stupid. I'm saying doing that is stupid, and here's why. And the reason is that I feel like oftentimes with co-parenting, you fail to realize that this has nothing to do with you at all. You decided to have a child with this individual. There may have been some aspects of maybe they were an asshole showing up in a relationship in some form, shape, or fashion, yet you chose to have a child with the person. So that means that's a consequence that you have to deal with, and that should not penalize the child because at the end of the day, yes, it may seem like it's not penalizing the child, but at some point, the child is going to realize, depending on how old they are, that they have their own separate account just for their father, or vice versa. They have their own social media account just for their mother. And to me, I feel like that puts more, what we tend to do is that we put more stress on the kid than we realize because oftentimes kids are trying to navigate through the drama with their parents and they start internalizing that and start thinking that they are the reason that this drama is going on when reality is divorced from the child, is unrelated to the child, is more related to two adult individuals having these feelings from each other and not knowing how to navigate through them for the sake of someone else who is innocent in it. So that's how I look at it. And I don't think you necessarily need to be friends in order to be have an open communication about co-parenting. Like you don't have to hang out, you don't have to text each other on a regular basis. But I do think that there needs to be a semblance of a line of communication directly related to the child or anything that implicates the child. That's my perspective now. But before, I probably was kind of like, fuck this, let me block this person. And I would tell you, I, Denise and I have blocked each other many times on social
No, no, no,
media.
no, no, no. Denise has never blocked you from social media. Sean has blocked me. Denise, don't add him to social media. That's that's two different things, buddy.
All right. So I've blocked her, okay, on social media. But it had nothing to do with Davion. It's because she does this a lot. Yeah, 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 yeah. Trying to talk about what I'm doing, what I'm doing here, there, the third. Like she my mama, and I ain't got time to hear that. So I just block her. Okay. Now, there was a time where she and I did not communicate effectively about our child, where I was living in Albuquerque, she was living in Virginia, and because we had a true breakdown of communication for various reasons. Um, my solution was, well, fuck her. I'll just send Davion his own phone. And that's what I did. I bought him his own phone, sent him his own phone, and that was the way that I communicated without going through Denise. But that was a mistake. And the reason it was a mistake is that it gave me an opportunity to be closer to him and communicate directly with him. But it also cut her out of conversations that I think she needed to be a party of. And it required him at a young age to be between two adults. And I think that at that particular point, I placed him, and I think we both participated in that regard. We placed them in an untenable situation as parents. That's my thought process on that. You
But
want to
what you
add anything
didn't,
on that?
yeah, what you didn't know is that I would still see the messages and I knew what was going on. But
But that
taking
doesn't matter. It's still.
taking our child out of the advice,
Mhm.
I get what you're saying about the social media accounts, but I don't think you have to necessarily tell the kid, well, this account was only created for your father. It doesn't have to be that way. There's certain things you don't have to tell your kid. You can just say, I created this account just to have all your pictures uploaded. But when you grew up, you could see yourself from when you were a baby up to now that you can manage your own account. There's
Well,
no need to go into all that.
who's the followers on there? It's
That's
gonna
what I'm
be the
saying.
dad. It's gonna be the daddy, the daddy's family, and that's it.
And if the kid naturally wants to question that, then let the child question and then come to you. But don't volunteer the information of, I just created this account just so your dad can see you. I think going back to her issue, I get it. Yeah, she had a child with I'm assuming it's a she, but the person had a child, and there should be communication. It shouldn't be where you're blocking them out of everything. I was also gonna say you could just send text messages. There there's no need for everything to be social media. I get it that that's the world we are going into, and we've probably already halfway there. But it doesn't always has to be social media. You can just send a text, send a picture or whatnot if you don't want to allow them access, or create an account for the kid. But
Or email.
exactly.
Send it by email. But the problem though is that we are getting into a world where you are quick to snap something for Instagram, or you're quick to snap something for a story because it's something that just happened that moment. And oh my God, this is so cute. Let me put this up. Oh, this is so cool. Let me put this up. And so that would require the individual to cognitively think, oh, I put this on my personal story. Let me place this on the kid's story. Like, if you're going to do that, you have to do it effectively so that I think so that the person can see it. But I just think the overarching issue here is that it has nothing, her issue has nothing to do with the kid. It has nothing to do with the father or the mother having an issue with being a parent. It's that person's internal still hurt and don't know how to figure out how to navigate through that. So the natural reaction is, let me block this person so I can't see anything about them and they can't see anything about me. But I just think that's a selfish line of thought process at that point for me. And it also depends how old the child is. And also whether there is a consistent like sharing of custody. Is this person always around? So I just think there's so many variables there, and I just don't think that's the best way to look at it. But that's my me being older now, given that advice. Which anything else you want to add on that one?
No, I get it. I know because I've done it where I don't want to see I wouldn't say I don't want to see you move on, but I don't think I'm ready to see that you've moved on. So to avoid and to avoid having to feel certain way, not to see it at all, regardless if we have
No,
a
I
child
yeah.
each other or not.
Yeah. So, and yeah, and I guess when you have that situation, then you have to think of an alternative so that the person, so that for the child's sake, there is no separation between these are my parents, right? But you also don't want to give the child false hope that y'all gonna be back together either. So I understand that perspective as well. And again, it also depends on how old the child is, right? All right. You good on that one? Anything else you want to say on that one?
Nope, I think I've given the person all the advice I can.
How would you say that you think that we have kind of not, I'm gonna use the word mastered, but that doesn't mean that we're perfect, but kind of mastered the best way of co-parenting for our kid?
Yeah,
And
I
if s-
think
and when do you think we reach that point?
unlike what you may think, I think that for some reason I feel like we've always had that good communication when it comes to co-parenting. We may not have seen eye to eye and disagreed in a lot of things, but I still think that at the end we put those feelings aside and still came, maybe not the same day, maybe not, in that week, but we eventually still try to, to get to a good point when it comes to co-parenting. But that's just my opinion. That's why I said I
Yeah,
think you don't agree, but
no, I don't. I would not go so far as to say we always had. I don't think that's true. I think that's false. I think that we had intentions of doing that. There was a moment or a time frame where we did not speak at all, and it was not healthy for Davion. And even Davion voiced that at one particular point. But I think that was a very short span of time where we did act, I'm gonna say immature, stupid, not being responsible for the feelings or the thought process of the child. You could point at me all day, but you participated. And you participate a lot of ways, but whatever. But I will agree that we have always found the way to manage, talk through, figure out what works, figure out how not to step over each other's thought processes, perspective. Although I will say that when it comes to you, you do tend to kind of have these side deals and plans with Davion, and then y'all try to bring it to me like y'all attacking me, which is annoying. Um, but the one thing that I think we majorly disagreed on was social media because I wanted him to have absolutely no social media.
right. And I was like,
And
come on now. He's at an
and
age where all his friends have social media. So if we tell him no, trust me, he's gonna go behind our backs and he's gonna get it, which he did.
oh yeah, he did. He thought he was
So
slick, but I mean, we knew it all the time. I mean, we knew he had them anyway. Every version, every username. I just created new usernames to find them. The fuck.
I will also say this because I think that obviously, right? You're gonna see things your way, right? I'm gonna see things my way. There's always three ways, right? Your
Hmm.
way, my way, and the actual truth. But what I will say is that it's not that I try to have side conversations with Davian and then bring it to you. It's just that it's easier to have the conversation with him first than it is to have the conversation with you because you're always in that you want to attack mode, like a dog, like want to
Well,
just
because some of it's
bark.
just, sometimes it's so full of fallacies. It's just, oh, it just makes me want to just go right
And
to
this
it.
is
But
why we
yes, I
have
can
the
agree.
side conversations. We actually come, we prepare ourselves together to then
Yeah,
come
y'all have
against
y'all
you.
evidence. Y'all
Yes,
got y'all evidence together.
exactly. I don't think you know how hard it is to deal with you.
All right, next, moving on. All right. The next one says, how am I supposed to co parent with the woman who committed the worst betrayal ever against me? So, this individual says that the woman destroyed his life. After 8 years of marriage and a child, she discarded him like trash and met somebody else instantly and got knocked up. I feel such a betrayal. It's unimaginable. And also, before she did so many horrible things to me, he doesn't disclose what type of horrible things. Never apologized, never said sorry. She doesn't talk about anything and just expects me to co-parent with her like nothing ever happened. How am I supposed to co-parent with an abuser like this? I hate the ground she walks on, yet I am stuck communicating with her. It's so unfair. All right. You want to start there first
It's a lot in that, in
to
everything you
unpack?
said. Exactly. I think the most important thing though is, what does what she did to you have to do with the kid? Put those feelings aside. Whatever happened between you two is between the adults. It should not be, the child should not be involved. So when it comes to the kid, those hatred feelings you have towards her aside, and just deal with whatever situation it is that you need to deal with for the kid's sake. Everything else, you can still continue to hate the person, but that
Yeah.
should not, be part of the child's whatever.
So I used to volunteer and mediate at small claims, well, at a metropolitan court in New Mexico when I was in law school. And here's what I would say. One of the cases that I took, I didn't know it had anything to do with divorce. I really thought it was two individuals splitting different property that they owned, various property, not like real estate, but dishes, pots, pans, pictures, mementos, things of that nature. Um, and so is the way that the lawsuit was captioned was that there was a lawsuit for money. But as we began discussing the mediation, it was clear that these two had recently divorced. And it was so much hurt, anger, and want to destroy the other person in the room. It caused me to realize that I never want to do anything in family law, right? Because it's draining. And I was only there for 2.5, 3 hours. But these two individuals who were fairly older than me um, drained the shit out of me for those 3 hours because they were fighting about pots and pans and knives. And so when I did one caucus, I basically asked one person, hey, what are you going to do with this stuff? And the person was like, I'm just going to throw it away. All right. Uh, so I say all that to say, at the end of the day, there's so much anger and emotions wrapped up in it. But here's how I'm going to give the advice: take it outside of this situation. Think about a situation where you go to work every day, right? And you hate your fucking job. You hate your boss. You hate your coworkers, but your ass still show up every day and do the job and probably fake as hell talking to everybody. Hey Joe, hey Sam, how you doing today? Hey, talking to your supervisor, talking about what you did on the weekend without any hint that you have a disdain for any of those individuals. And I think you do the same fucking thing here. At the end of the day, yes, this person may have hurt you. Yes, this person may have done X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, just like you go there because that job is important or that paycheck that you have is important, you have the most important thing right there with you, and that's the child that you can mold, shape, and ensure that they don't fall into the same footsteps of bad shit that you've done or mistakes that you've made, even though they may make it. And so I think you really have to readjust your whole concept and focus not on the fact that you hate this person, not on the fact that this person may have done you wrong, right? Because this person may not even think they did you wrong, right? Um, and so I think that's the way I would think about it. I would reframe what's going on and why I'm involved and act like this is a job because being a parent is a job. You just don't fucking get paid for it.
Yeah, and we sit there and we say, yeah, for the first 18 years of their age, it's more than that. It's for life. It's a job for life. But you write this piece asking for advice, but yet you leave details out.
Hmm.
You make it seem like she's the one that was wrong, but what did you do? You know what I mean? You didn't do anything.
Right.
It
Right.
can't be. Something must have happened. So I agree with everything you said.
Yeah. Um, and I don't think I ever, uh, me personally, I've never in our situation, I've never felt that way. For me, I really didn't care. All I care about is Davion safe? Is he sound? Is he happy? Now, if he tells me something, if I ask you and he told me something totally opposite, yes, I would, you know, have that conversation. But I'm not. concerned about you moving on. I'm not concerned about what happened in our relationship. It didn't fucking work. It didn't work. I mean, that's just what the fuck it is, right? And now I'm stuck with your ass for at least the 18 years. But now he's
Listen,
18.
you
Now
don't
he's
gotta
18,
tell
so
me. I'm
he can
stuck
go.
with
You know what I mean?
yours. You don't know.
Hmm.
I will say I have never had an issue with you moving on. Listen, you want to move on, by all means do so. Um, I think I've said I hate Beyonce, but it's because of your attitude. It has nothing to do with you moving on, having another relationship. No,
Ladies and gentlemen,
I wish
look at this
I could
face.
just
Look at this
change
face.
you.
Look at these cheeks. Look at this smile. I'm
Don't let it fool
I'm
you.
always present. I am such a great person with many flaws, but that's the beauty of being human, right? The Lord made us who we are for a reason. And so I am giving you what the Lord done told me to give. Won't he do it? Yes, he will. All right. So
That, that is a part. Oh my gosh.
all right, let's move on to the next piece. All right. Need help with a co-parent who doesn't parent well. All right. So this person has a daughter who's 8.5. The father and the person split up before she was born and have attempted to co-parent together. Well, technically, well, co-parent means to do it together, but whatever. We have a 60-40 custody where the mother have the child for 4 days per week and the father has her for 3 days. He pays a minimum amount of child support, which really isn't the issue, but yet she put it in there. Okay. The issue is that he pays zero attention to her hygiene when she's at his house. He doesn't have her bathe or brush her teeth or brush her hair. She comes home after 3 days totally unwashed and filthy. And the mother has been trying to work on explaining to her that she has to take initiative to bathe herself, take care of herself, do her hygienic duties while she's at her father's, but she's only 8. And so the mother is like, bruh, she can't be the adult here. You need to be the adult and set some ground rules and some rules with respect to hygiene, and make sure that she wash her ass. And the father is kind of flippant and basically says it's not a big deal. He just forgot. Which, first of all, have I don't think I've ever been in that situation.
No, I don't think we've ever been in that situation.
Okay, 'cause I'm gonna be in the shower. I'm the type of person. This may be TMI. Every time I take a number two, I shower. Okay,
And his kid does the same.
so
TMI, but
yes. All right. Now, what is your thought process on this?
you know, I try to think what type of advice I would give her, but I mean, what can you really say? I think that she's doing what she can, make sure that child and let her know how important it is. You're at an age where, what if you have to go out of the house and you happen to see your friends at a store and you stink and you talk and your breath stinks and then they go to school and you know talk to the kid about it. But what can you really do? I'm not gonna say take him to court because you can't. Imagine taking a person to court because of that. There's nothing you can do. I don't know. Maybe bring his mother and say, "Hey, you think you can have this conversation?" I don't know. Honestly, that one stumped me. That's why when you started reading it, I was like, "Wait, I don't remember that one." And then when you said the 60-40, I was like, "Okay, I remember it," because I didn't know what to actually say. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss for that one.
So I'm going to flip it. The first thing I'm going to ask the person is, why is it that you think the father believes that he needs to give this freedom for the child to be unwashed for 3 days, right? That's number one. And so the reason I ask that is, look at yourself first. Are you doing something structurally that it appears as if you're putting too much stress or pressure on the child, right? So for me, for instance, I know that I am super big on like school, doing your shit. And I knew that I was putting too much pressure on Davion to do that, right? He wanted to do things his own way, right? He's the type of person very fucking lazy, smart, just lazy as shit. Will not do things when it's supposed to be done for school, and will wait literally the day before it is it needs to be credited, and then everything get turned in. But in the interim, right, we were having all these communications from the teachers. He's not turning this in. We'll get these notifications because we were had access to the board. We will show he got a 0, 0, 0, 0, and we were just talking and talking and talking and talking our faces till they were blue, right? But then I had to step back and say, okay, am I putting too much pressure on him to be as I was in school? Right. And I realized at some point I was. Now, that's not to say that that was a pass for him to do whatever the fuck he wanted to do and still be lazy. But I also had to recognize that his approach with schooling was very different from mine. And so it required me to adjust my thought processes about the best conversations that I can have with him to motivate him to want to do X, Y, and Z. Right now, that's number one. Now, if you feel that you are doing everything you're supposed to do, and the father has just been lackadaisical and don't fucking care, then that's an issue. And I think what you are doing, having a conversation with the child, is important. But more so, I think you need to be firm with the father. We on a 60-40. That means 40% of the time she still needs to wash her fucking ass when she's with you, right? And I believe, right? I say you need to stand firm. I believe that you are putting the health of my child at risk. And if this continue, then I think we might need to revisit with the court system to make a determination as to whether or not you need some supervision when it comes to her being at your home. Period. That's how I would do
And
it.
what if he said, "Well, let's go to court because I don't."
Then fuck it, let's do it. I go
That's the
right
thing.
downtown.
She's probably trying to avoid all of that.
No, mm-mm,
It works for
nah,
certain people, but it doesn't work with everybody because a person like you, had we been in that situation and had it been you, the one not bathing the child and not, making sure that his teeth were clean, and I come to you and tell you that, the first thing you would have said is, "Well, take me to court. Let's go."
that is true.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we don't even want to deal with that shit.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you do? I mean, is it that the father doesn't have good hygiene, or does is the father just like she needs to be a kid, let her be dirty? There are some parents who think like that. That she's just a kid. She's not going now. I don't know if she's going to school, but if she's with him for 3, 4 days, wait,
She
3 days,
probably just does Friday,
Fridays to Saturdays,
Saturday,
Sunday.
and Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think that what she's doing right now, speaking to the child, is very, very important. She's at an age where she's, about to hit those double digits. You could be going out with your dad to a store and see a friend, talk to the friend, and the first thing the friend is gonna be like, "Whoa, like, you stink." And then
right.
go to school and say, "Oh, I saw this person and they stink." And you want to avoid being bullied. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. And the father, I mean, the other thing is that I don't know all the facts. I don't know kind of like the household situation, but the father could be placing the mother in an untenable situation. We don't know what time she comes home on Sunday. We're assuming, for sake of argument, that there's a Monday through Thursday split, Friday through Sunday split. So we're going to take that hypothetical and assume that that's the case. We don't know if the father is actually placing the mother in an untenable situation because the mother could be a single mom. And on Sundays is her day of getting everything ready for the week. And so now she needs to undo what you have allowed this child to do for 3 days straight, which means she needs to try to once again unlearn those bad habits that you keep giving her. And so I think it's also just a lack of respect from one parent to the other. Because there's no way that I'm going to forget Davion ain't brush his teeth for 3 days, or shower, or wash his ass for 3 days. They're not sitting in my house. You ain't gonna be doing that. Now, again, every parent is different, and maybe he thinks that this is his way of bonding with her because he's seen as the fun, cool, relaxing dad. But I do think the father needs to adjust that habit because it's important as parents to be on one accord when it comes to certain things. And I think hygiene is one of those things that there should be no disagreement about.
Just imagine it going to that man's house. Okay, it's an 8-year-old, so obviously the baby wants to be running around and maybe going outside playing, and they go outside and they come inside in that funk of outside, that smell like, oh, you were outside. I can smell it on you. Just imagine how that father's house must smell like. Yeah.
I know. And then the other thing is, I do want to call this out, right? Because Denise and I have disagreed on many things when it comes to Davion. I think on the larger things we have agreed on. We have disagreed on approach with many things with Davion. But I think I'm just speaking for me. It was important for me not to make a judgment about whether or not Denise was a good parent, right? um, because there was nothing that she did that placed him in harm's way. Now, there was things that she would have done that placed him in harm's way, or that I thought jeopardized his health, safety, or mental abilities. Then that would be a different conversation. And the reason I'm saying that is because the title of this particular one is that the co-parent who doesn't parent well, and the only situation of not parenting well that we received is about the hygiene, right? And so I do think it's important that we don't place those labels on each other as parents, because parenting overall is a hard ass thing. And co parenting is even harder, but it's particularly harder when there is um, drama involved, emotions involved, or people just don't know how to navigate differences in opinions about what's best for the child. So that would be my other piece of advice that was unsolicited here, is not to place unwarranted labels on parents as being shitty parents and this, that, and third, if that makes sense. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, now that you mentioned that, the only other thing that, came to mind as you were mentioning that is that she's also a girl. And it's easier from a father to a son,
Yeah.
to maybe say, "Hey, go shower or brush your teeth," than it is for a father and a girl. I don't know.
Right. Because if that was Davion, I would just pick his ass up and throw him in the shower. But I wouldn't do that with a girl because the body parts are different, right?
Exactly.
And I don't want to create, I wouldn't want to create an experience for her that says that that's acceptable for an opposite sex to do that, right? So there's so many other things that could be involved, variables. Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't even think about that until you just said that. But yeah. All right. Next piece of co-parent advice. This one says, my ex and I have been sharing custody of the 18-year-old, 18-month-old for over a year. I've asked him several times to meet to discuss a custody schedule to get in writing so we don't have to do as much back and forth. The problem is him and his girlfriend lost their jobs, so they've had a lot of free time to spend with the child while this parent is at work. They've been dating a few months, and the girlfriend seems to take care of the daughter very well. They are moving about 160 miles away soon, and baby daddy wants to have a chat about custody. But he will only meet with me if his girlfriend is with him. They have ganged up on me before, and I didn't get my daughter back from him until 3 days after she was due home. I told him I would meet, but as long as I could bring my mom with me. I've been in a serious relationship for almost a year now, but I will absolutely never ask my boyfriend to come with me to solve my custody issues. Is it weird that he will only meet with me with his girlfriend? Is that fair? I don't know her very well, but if she's going to be a part of the daughter's life, I want to scope out the relationship and dynamic a bit more. I'm not sure how to respond or navigate this situation. Go ahead.
I want to pull up the story again because as I was reading it when you sent it to me, I was like, okay, there's many things here I'm already having issues with. You can't control what he does. But I do agree that being allowed the lady, the girlfriend, to have been with your kid, you should have had that conversation with your ex and said, if she's going to be in my daughter's life because she's in a relationship with you, I need to meet her first. Let me have a conversation with
Yeah.
her. Let me feel her out. And then you can do whatever it is you guys want to do with her from there. I think that
Yeah.
would have avoided a lot of the issues that she's having now.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that it needed to be a two-part step because it does seem like she wants to know more about the person, but she doesn't want this person involved in decision making. I agree with that part. There is no reason why any significant other is coming to meet with me to talk about custody of my child with the the parent, the other parent of my child, right? It has fucking nothing to do with you. I don't care if y'all live together. I don't care if you're married. You don't have a say in that regard. Now, we certainly should have a conversation separate and apart from that about, talk to me a little bit about, interactions with the kid, blah, blah, blah. Let me meet you, see how I feel you out a little bit, scope you out. I get that. Make sure there's no vulnerable situations like a lot of cursing or arguing, not cursing because I curse a lot, but a lot of arguing, volatile behavior, right? Or conduct. But yes, I do agree that she should not need to meet with the father and the girlfriend to talk about custody because they don't go hand in hand. Um, so I think that that is a also a sign of some issues there, particularly when she says that they gang up on her a lot or in the past. Now I don't know what that means. Um, but it seems as if maybe the girlfriend feels emboldened enough that she feels that she can have a say in the child's life. And in reality, she doesn't get that say. She may have time, space, and energy around the child, but she doesn't necessarily, in my view, necessarily get a say in what's going on in the child's life. I don't know if you think differently in that regard, but it sounds like this girlfriend makes it seem as if she can make decisions that impact everyone involved. What
You
you
know,
laughing at?
because the I told you the other day, I don't know why I think the way I do, but I see it differently. I see it in this situation, may, and it's crazy that I'm siding with the girlfriend. I don't see, first of all, I think that that expression of they ganged up on me, no, ma'am. Because if she was due home the day that she was due home, you better bring her home. There is no ganging up on you. You allowed it. Don't say they ganged up, allowed it to happen.
But I think she's talking about like they must have had some kind of conversation about something,
Exactly.
and that there was a disagreement, and as punishment for her not agreeing to their position, that they kept the child hostage for 3 days. Essentially, is
No,
what she's
I don't
saying.
see it that way. I didn't read it that way.
How about
She
that?
up on me before and I didn't get my daughter back from home until 3 days after she was due home. If there was any type of issues, she would have mentioned that in her to
Wait,
try to get a
so
little bit more sympathy.
So are you saying that if as a girlfriend of someone who is co-parented with someone else, you think that you have a say in how their
No,
custody
no, no, no,
situation
no.
occurs?
No,
I'm
I'm
so
talking about
confused.
the ganging up. I think that I think that she's allowed the girlfriend to have certain says when it comes to the daughter, but now she wants to put a stop to certain things, which is why I said you should have had this conversation since day one. You know, if you know that your ex partner is in a relationship with someone and that someone is going to be around your daughter, before you allowed your daughter the first time to go see that lady, you should have said, I need to have a conversation with you and I need to have a conversation with your girlfriend. I need to meet her and I need her to understand what she can do with my daughter. If you didn't do that and you've allowed certain things to happen, that now it's on you. It's your fault. That's
Yeah.
why I'm saying about the ganging up. I don't think it was the ganging up. I think that go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just saying I can't believe that I'm even trying to defend the girlfriend, but I think she's putting too much into the girlfriend when she should have been. She has some responsibilities and she's not taking, is
I
it
think
accountability for them?
yeah, I for some reason she gives me um confrontational adverse, right? And so I think that she legitimately had an issue with this girl being involved all along. She didn't want to confront that issue, but it is becoming unbearable for her, and for whatever reason in her mind, there was something that happened that was enough is enough, right? But I do think, putting all that aside, I don't give a shit about the girlfriend. I do think that it's problematic when we begin to play chess and checkers with our children. And I saw this in this example, assuming that it is true, that it appears to suggest to me that because there was a disagreement for whatever reason, that the father failed to honor his requirement to give the child back by a certain day. And I hate to use that term, give a child back. And it also appears as if they don't have an official custody agreement with the courts, right? So this is them trying to do the right thing and work out kind of what the agreement was going to be, blah blah blah. And I do think that, using a child as a pawn in a game is not a good thing, and particularly a child this young, 18 months. I think that's I think that's shitty of the father and the girlfriend to do, assuming that it's accurate, right? You don't agree. You think it's okay for the father to keep the baby 3 days when you're supposed to bring it back on Monday, but you're gonna keep the baby to Thursday just because we got into an argument?
Listen, I think that was
Because I will
killing
be
me.
over there. I'll be over there knocking on that motherfucking door, tearing up that fucking car. Uh, bitch,
And
bring
this
my
is,
baby out.
ladies and why? I thank the Lord for the patience He's given me because it's not easy. No, but I think my issue with this whole, I think that I have this tunnel vision, and I like once something catches my eye, like I can't really get. And
Mhm.
what I cannot get past is before she starts mentioning all the other issues of ganging up on me, blah blah blah. She said, right? They've been dating a few months, and the girlfriend seems to care for my daughter very much.
Yeah, but she can't make that. First of all, you can't make that assessment in a few months. They just started dating.
She
That's
did it.
her.
She said it.
I'm saying, I'm telling the girl, you fucked up there. Okay.
And that's why I can't get past anything else in the story because you already
Oh
saying
my
that
God! Don't
she's
do
taking
not
care
put
of.
don't put this girl on any of my juries. Oh
I'm gonna you can't listen. When I was watching what
no,
we're gonna
because
talk
you
about in the
don't.
next show,
Because you don't even you hear one thing and then you won't listen to any of the facts. And sometimes
I it's
what
like
what
I've
what
been
what and once you hear it, I mean, and sometimes it has fucking nothing to do with the case, but it's just something that piqued your interest, and so therefore it's like fuck everything else.
oh my god, that's exactly how it is.
This that ain't got nothing to do with co-parent. I guarantee you that if I was Davion was 4 or 5, and I was dating someone for 2 months, and then they came in and started talking about what Davion's gonna do, how he's gonna do it, when he's coming here, you won't be sitting there being
Because
like,
it
okay,
wouldn't because that never would have happened. I'm gonna give you
okay.
listen, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. You may not have remembered, but when you were in New Mexico, you started having a relationship that you would actually bring Davian around that person. And I always said, I just want the opportunity to be able to meet the person so I know who Davian is around. The
Yes,
same
I would
thing.
give you that.
So the same thing with Dorian's dad. If you're gonna be in a relationship, before my child can even meet that person, I need to meet the person. I need to get a feel for the person. The person needs to understand they're not taking the mother's place. They're just there because they are the girlfriend's dad, wife, etc. You will not be telling my child. It's not that you won't be telling my child. You won't be disciplining my child. You're gonna tell the daddy and me what happened and let us deal with it. So I would have never let it gone to the position she let it go to. And if she's
Yeah.
already saying that she's treating the baby well enough and seems to care for her well enough, then why are you having issues with it now?
Yeah, I think it's because she's confrontation averse, and that's not an excuse for her, but I think that's what it is. And she has allowed the situation to, I'm going to use this term, push her around. And she allowed the father and the girlfriend to manipulate the situation to their advantage, according as written. And I get what you're saying, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, listen, I allow that to happen. Going forward, this is not going to happen. And
I'm
so
not saying
she,
that that's not
no, no,
right.
I know
She
that.
doesn't mention that.
Of course, that's why she's asking for advice.
And
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 what it,
she said that she's been in a relationship for a year. I will come back and say, okay, you want to bring her? I'm bringing my man too.
but she
And
says she would never ask her man to go. She specifically says that
listen,
because,
if he wants to play that game, two can play that game. So bring the girlfriend all you want. I'm bringing my man too. Shit.
well, if that's the case, you might as well bring the grandma and the uncles.
She
Fuck it,
wanted to. She wanted to bring her mom. So
make it
what
a
if?
party.
What if he says, "Well, I'm bringing my mom too." Well, let's bring the damn party. I can bring my sisters too. I don't think you want my sisters in there.
Yeah, because your family thought they were Davion's parents too. We had, but we finally got across that bridge. All right, listen. Um, I do want to say this. This is specifically on our situation, and it may be too much information. You probably was not ready to hear this, but I think it's fair to be transparent. There was a point of time where
Don't you think
I
you need to
actually
uh, talk to
no,
me
because
first
this is
before
my
you?
truth. This is my podcast. I actually took Denise to court because I was being petty. Not necessarily petty. I was angry with some situations that occurred. There was a lack of communication, and I just got tired of it. And so I took her to court. And we got a custody situation through the court system. But here's the point that I wanted to raise is that we were in a place at that particular point where it was not good. It wasn't good for Davion particularly. It wasn't healthy for me to be so angry. And what I'm saying is that we were able to work it out where we didn't even abide by that custody agreement because the reality is that at some point we determined that it was best for Davion at a very young age to come and live with me primarily. Which was he was what in the fourth grade, third,
Yeah,
fourth, yeah, third or
fourth.
fourth
Yeah,
grade, and I pretty much had him up until 11th grade when he went back home because he thought he was big and bad,
yeah,
thought he
butt
wasn't gonna follow.
heads. Lord have
He thought he
mercy.
wasn't gonna follow these fucking rules in this house, but that's different, right? But I say all that to say that there's always should always be a silver lining. That silver lining should always be your child. And there are ways that you can navigate and work on that. I know it's difficult. I'm speaking from experience. There's been places and points in my time where if I could put a hitman out on her, I probably would have. No, I'm just
Woo,
joking.
the feeling is mutual.
But we were able to navigate through that. And look at us. We're doing this podcast. The fuck? So life is she keeps saying she hate me, but yet she on this fucking she hop on this mic every week. So
Listen, because nobody wants to hear your mouth. I don't think you understand that. But I will say this. I will, and I, not because I want to put myself in a pedestal, right? But when that situation happened, that you actually took me to court for the visitations, let's make it clear because that's what you took me to court for.
mhm.
Um, I still think that I have never, in the 18 years of life of Davian and the 14 years of life of Dorian, I have ever stopped you guys from ever seeing your kids anytime you guys wanted to, have communication with them that you guys wanted to, or even said
Who is
anything.
you guys?
I
First of
have
all,
two
this
kids.
is
I have
yeah,
two
I
kids,
ain't got
and
nothing to do with him.
you don't. And but this is a co-parenting episode, so I'm speaking on this is my truth now,
Oh,
and I
okay.
am a co-host of this podcast.
Right.
So this is my testimony.
You could easily be removed, boo boo. But go ahead.
Listen, I will have no issues with that. But I will say that I have never stopped any, you or Dorian's dad from being able to see your kids whenever you guys wanted to, have communication with them whenever you guys wanted to. I think the situation with you was, I think because you are this type of person that you want things done your way and no other way at all. I think that's what brought the you taking me to court. But I will say
No,
this,
that wasn't. But go
and
ahead.
that's what I say. You're gonna have your opinion, I'm gonna have mine, and then there's the actual truth. But what I will say though is that even though you took me to court, it wasn't to get full custody of Davian. We were able to mediate and still come to an agreement. So I think that that still speaks, it speaks volumes of us as parents because we were able to at least come to an agreement. But it hasn't been easy. I will say this, and it's sir, it's your attitude.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the
And this is exactly
episode.
what I'm talking about.
That is episode. Listen, I let me
You can't even talk.
again, people. Great personality. Okay, beautiful personality. I'm just not gonna take nobody's bullshit. All right, this is episode 78. Episode 78 is co-parenting. It be a struggle sometimes. I want to thank Denise for participating in this particular episode. Denise, you want to say something? Any last words on this co-parenting topic?
No, just thank you for having me. I think that this conversation was due, because we bring it up often in our episodes. So I'm glad that we were able to actually do this episode together.
All right, excellent. I am excited as well to release this particular episode. All right, so remember you can reach us on Facebook at Peeps Creek Cafe. You can reach us on IG, Twitter, and Twitch at Peeps Creek, and you can go to YouTube at Peeps Creek Podcast, and also on our website where we host all of our episodes and videos as well. It's peepscreek.com. You can send us an email at cafe@peepscreek.com. And if you want to be so nice to, support us a little bit, let me go ahead and put this little QR code on there. Take your little phone, snap it, boom, and buy a brother and a sister some coffee. All right, until next time, make sure that you continue to drink, listen, and converse